Skhumbuzo.
Hey, Tressilia, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Okay,
Same
so
here.
I know you said before you're a professional chef here at the University of Johannesburg.
Yes, of course.
But what inspired your passion to get into cooking and to actually become a chef?
Well, to be honest, I grew up at a young age with my grandmother. So she's a very spontaneous cook. Well, I used to enjoy every meal that she would make. So my grandmother would make a meal basically out of nothing.
Okay.
So that almost gave me the love of food. I think that's where the passion of cooking came about. So growing up, I used to be very confused as to what I would want to become. So I thought maybe the food, the culinary industry, since it's the one and only thing that's close to heart, let me just rather pursue it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it came about.
Okay. And I know you mentioned just now that she
Yes,
could
ma'am.
prepare anything out of nothing, basically.
True,
and I think
true,
that's almost what we want our students to have, that same mentality. You know, it doesn't mean you need to buy high-end ingredients, whatever the case may
Yes.
be. So then what are we preparing today, and what is the nutritious
so
value?
today we'll be demonstrating on how to steam fish.
Okay.
So we'll be using some hake-fish.
Okay, nice.
We'll use some pureed curry tomato paste
Okay,
for sauce, some savory red quinoa with bulgur wheat, as well as with a coconut cream sauce, and some grilled veggies. Each ingredient I'll be explaining it and as to what nutritional value it can add to your human body or your mental capacity, things like that. Greetings to everyone at home. My name is Skhumbuzo Mbatha, professionally known as Chef Skhumba. I work for the University of Johannesburg School of Tourism and Hospitality, and today I'll be taking you through a cooking demonstration on how to execute and cook a lunch meal, whether it be at home, res, could be a quick meal to make for students. It's a very healthy meal, economically friendly and I'll be guiding you through everything using just limited ingredients, and also you don't really need that much cooking utensils. What?
Know who Chef Skhumba is. So to introduce myself, my name is Tressilia Mumba. I am a PhD candidate and a research assistant at the Food Evolution Research Laboratory.
Thank you. So we'll start off by cooking our bulgur wheat and our quinoa.
Okay.
So we'll use a saucepan for that and our vegetable stock water.
Okay, great. So I love that you guys have chosen bulgur wheat and quinoa because these are very high fiber sources of grain. Well, quinoa, if you didn't know, is actually a seed, but it's a great alternative if you are gluten intolerant or if you want to have a gluten-free lifestyle. It is great if you want to pursue that. And bulgur wheat as well, it's high in fiber, it's very nutritive, and it helps to keep you fuller for longer. So these are great alternatives, you know, instead of your normal higher caloric grains like pasta and rice, these are great alternatives.
Quinoa has a high protein content.
yes.
So you can look at it as a starch, but you also get that protein value from it.
No, definitely.
So now I'll take my quinoa. I'll put some vegetable stock water in the pan.
Okay,
So I'm just gonna add my quinoa. So as the water boils, it's gonna boil with the quinoa,
okay.
and we'll be regularly checking it after 2 or 3 minutes.
And the nice thing about vegetable stock is it's relatively easy to make on your own.
True.
I know there are, you know, alternatives in terms of the stock packets that you can get, and it's easily accessible. However, vegetable stock is easy to make if you just have a few vegetables. Celery, carrots, onions, you know, that's basically the base of a great vegetable stock, and it provides you with vitamins and minerals without any of the additional fats that you might get from a beef, chicken, or even like fattier fish stocks.
In that pot, we have our red quinoa cooking already. And in this one, with the same vegetable stock water, we're just going to pour in our bulgur wheat.
Okay. So are you cooking separately because they have different cooking times or cooking temperatures or what?
The
Okay.
temperature is not really much of an issue because now the cooking method we're doing here,
Okay.
it's a boiling method.
Okay.
So we're boiling both grains in different pots because they take different times to
Okay.
We'll be moving on to our next item,
Which is
our hake. So we will be steaming our hake fish today. It's already cleaned, So with hake fish, everyone knows fish has a high grade value of omega-3.
Yes.
We all believe that omega-3 is good for your body and your brain. So yeah.
No, that's very true. When it comes, like you mentioned, omega-3, especially now when it comes to student life and maintaining a healthy and balanced lifestyle, body and mind, omega-3s help with amino acids, and those amino acids release chemical neurotransmitters that help to balance your moods and your feelings. So fish is always a great alternative, or even something that students might like more or that use more often, tinned fish. Tinned fish,
yes.
sardines,
And I love tinned
pilchards,
fish.
you see,
Like
those
I
are
said, my
very
grandmother
easy.
made
Yeah.
mouth-watering meals out of cheap
Exactly,
ingredients such as tinned fish. You get the same value of omega-3 in tinned fish also.
What's additionally important is the method that you use to prepare it.
Yes.
Like you said, now you're going to be steaming
Today
it.
we'll be steaming our
Yes,
fish. So
to-
steaming our fish is a very healthy option to cook
Yes.
your fish. So we are avoiding to add on to the fat content on the
Yes,
fish and whatnot.
yes.
So we'd rather just stick to the omega-3 that we have in there, and by steaming it, we're not adding any other unwanted toxins to it.
Yes.
So today we're just gonna season it with some salt and pepper.
Okay.
Reason why I'm using salt and pepper to cook is that these are basic natural spices.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, can never get sick from these. So I'm avoiding using spices because spices sometimes they add preservatives and chemicals which may be harmful for your body. And these are just spices that we use to, and they're
Yes.
very cheap, very affordable.
I'm glad that you're using, like uncracked black pepper and
Yeah.
uncracked salt, because sometimes when you get powdered black pepper, it, again, because we don't read labels, it might be about 70% wheat,
Yes.
And if you have a gluten intolerance, or if you're trying to cut down on carbohydrates wherever you can, then you're not actually getting the full benefits of the pepper.
So this is aluminium foil.
Yes.
So the shiny part, that's where you get the most content of aluminium. So when it
Okay.
gets heat on this side, most likely some elements of that aluminium would fall onto your food. Hence, you would use the shiny part down, and then you put whatever food content you're using on the darker side of the foil.
Okay.
So now
that's
that
fair.
we've
So you won't
seasoned
get
our
any
fish-
sort of poisons or anything like that?
Oh,
from
no,
the
not
element?
really, not really. Even if maybe you do it either way, but remember that with heat, everything that you apply heat to, so heat kills bacteria.
Yes, in any
So
case.
yeah,
So-
but just to be safe, just to use it right, shiny parts always outside. So we're just gonna wrap our fish. So when we're steaming our fish,
Yes.
some people, mostly students, they
Yes.
live at res and they
Yes.
don't have these modern
Convection
ovens.
oven, yeah.
So, but by applying foil on your fish,
Okay.
you can steam it on a pan, you can steam it in a pot of boiling water, you can steam it on a pressure cooker, slow cooker. It doesn't really matter what type of heat source you apply to it, as long as you've wrapped it in foil.
Yes.
So the steaming process will just activate itself.
Okay, but for today, we're going to be using the
The
oven,
oven.
to steam it.
Yes, so now
Okay.
we perfectly covered our fish in foil. We're just gonna put it in this tray. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask you to pop it in the oven. Our oven has been preheated already. So we're just gonna cook that for about 15, 20 minutes or so. So I'll just leave you to time that for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Reason being, we're steaming it frozen. So the cooking times also depend on the temperature of the meat. So if it was just defrosted at a nice room temperature, so it would be a much lesser time.
I think also it's important, as we've been preparing everything here, to keep into account cooking times, because what I know, especially as growing up, our parents might have overboiled the items, overcooked the items,
they
which
would
causes it
just
to
throw
lose
in
all
oil.
the nutritive value. So you must be cognizant of your cooking times. And now, so okay, we've been cooking the quinoa and the bulgur wheat. How much longer is it?
I think our bulgur wheat is almost there, but
Okay.
like I said, our quinoa will take a bit more time than the bulgur wheat.
Okay.
So we'll check on it again after 5 more minutes. So now
Yes.
I'll be making our coconut cream sauce, which will incorporate our starch of the day.
Okay.
So the reason why we're making this coconut cream sauce is just to make our starch savory.
Okay.
So since we're using these grains and they coarse grains, sometimes they tend to be very dry, also depending on how long you've cooked them for.
Yes.
So now we just want to add that silky smooth texture to it by making it savory with our coconut cream sauce. So we're just going to use a strainer,
Okay.
put it in the sink, and you can just pour in there.
Great.
careful, eh? I don't want to burn you.
No, I don't want to burn either.
Thank you. So I think 1.5 to 2 more minutes on the quinoa, and then same process. You can just leave it in there to cool down a bit.
Great.
Thank you. And then you don't need to take it out because we're gonna mix the two together.
Okay,
so we'll
great.
just
Go to
put
the
that in
same
there
with
rather.
the
Yeah.
quinoa. Okay.
1.5 to 2 minutes. That should be
I
okay.
know today we're using bulgur wheat and quinoa, but these might be a bit more pricey, options for students. So if you don't have the access to quinoa or to bulgur wheat, I know what I like to use as well is barley. Barley is great. It has similar benefits in terms of gut health, fiber, satiety. It will keep you fuller for longer, so you can have that
Some
as
barley
an
or
alternative.
lentils.
Yes, lentils, split peas,
Split
those
peas,
also
yeah.
help. And then now that you've mentioned, you said coconut cream.
Coconut cream, yes.
Okay.
So coconut cream, what I like about it is that it has those fatty acids which are good for your metabolism, and it also helps regulate your immune system.
Yes.
It's also vegan friendly.
Yes.
So it adds that creamy texture to your food without having to use like cow milk or
Yes,
goat
yes,
milk, whatever,
yes.
animal milk.
Yes.
So even vegans can also consume this. So it's a very healthy option. Yes, it may be a little bit too pricey, but there's always alternative methods. For example, the very same stock water that we're using, you can just add some flour to it. You can put it on heat, boil it, add a little bit of flour with butter.
That's great. I'm glad that you gave us an alternative. But
Yes, ma'am.
like I said, coconut cream is great because, like you've mentioned now, it is a plant-based fat, Chef, do you think the quinoa is ready now?
I
Do you
think our
we can remove
quinoa
it?
is very ready now.
Okay,
So,
so-
just pour it into the same strainer. So you're just gonna pour it in there. We're gonna leave it to cool off a little bit, and then we're just gonna transfer it into our saucepan, our mixing bowl rather.
Great.
Thank you very much. While you're busy with that, so for my coconut cream sauce, I will be needing some curried tomato puree,
Okay.
coconut cream, which we both love,
Yes.
and then some onion just for flavor.
Yes.
Garlic, I always cook with garlic.
Yes.
It's good for your immune system as well. And then some parsley. Parsley is a very aromatic herb, and I just like using it. Gives great color
Yeah.
and aroma. So I'm just gonna put it in there.
I know generally they talk about 3 large meals, but I think a student schedule is a bit difficult to sit down and have 3 consecutive or large meals.
True.
I'd rather say than to have 5 smaller meals. So you start at home, with oats or mabele, these are all high in fiber, again, low GI, which doesn't spike up your sugar.
Yeah.
Because things like cornflakes, Cocoa Pops, they're delicious, but it spikes up your sugar and you'll be full for exactly 10 minutes. And then after that,
And then they need to eat again.
exactly. You know what I like to do is something that's easy. I just pack rice crackers, like whole grain rice crackers, or an apple with peanut butter. Very easy. Take it on the go. It's not something that you have to even think about. It's very simple for you to prepare these items.
So our veggies for today, I like to use some broccoli.
Great.
I'm also gonna grab some cauliflower.
Okay.
And then just for a little bit of garnish, I'm gonna go with my corn.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do now is same process with the bulgur wheat and quinoa. I'm gonna chop these into nice florets. We're gonna
Okay.
use the same pan that we used to cook the quinoa and bulgur wheat.
Okay.
And then we're gonna use same stock, and then we're just gonna blanch this.
Okay.
So broccoli and cauliflower.
So when you say blanch, what does that mean?
So blanching is when you put your pot on heat
Okay.
with some liquid in there, whether it be veg stock, chicken stock, beef stock, also depending on what you're cooking.
Yes.
It also can to be plain water. It saves your cooking time, and also it keeps your veggies fresh and clean. So unlike just pouring some oil, seasoning, and put them in the oven, they tend to become greasy and whatnot.
Yes.
So when you blanch them, they just imagine with broccoli. You
Yes.
get to keep the chlorophyll, you get to keep the
Yes.
crunchiness. Our water for blanching will be boiling soon. In the meanwhile, I just need you to mix these two.
Okay.
So you're just
Like
gonna
that.
work around this
Okay.
until it's fully mixed. Thank
great.
you. While you're doing that,
Yeah, and also as our, just carrying on with our 5 meals, that we were speaking of.
Yeah.
What I also like for lunch, that's I think a good sandwich, you can never go wrong with a good sandwich, especially as a student, whether it's brown bread, low GI bread.
Yeah.
And what I personally like to add is liver spread as well.
Oh,
so
yes.
liver spread is high in protein, vitamin A as well, which is great for your eyesight,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So adding that, and with liver spread as well, you won't need to add any additional fats. You won't need to add
True.
mayonnaise or anything like that. You can just
It's
add
creamy on its own,
exactly.
yeah,
You just
so-
add some tomatoes or lettuce,
Yes.
and you have a sandwich to go. And then carrying with your fruits, you know, bananas, great with potassium, magnesium.
True.
So
Or
it will keep
maybe
you full.
some avo, have some natural fats, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
For dinner, I think this can be a great dinner alternative.
True.
Or your dinner for that evening, you know. Everything here is high in fiber and grains and multivitamins and minerals.
Yes,
will keep
ma'am.
you healthy and full.
Yeah.
That's important.
They should avoid greasy foods. They should at least have a lunch bag with a fruit, a sandwich, and maybe a bottle of water.
Yes.
Drink a lot of water.
Yes.
You do need to drink a lot of water.
Water is definitely
So yeah, things
important.
like that do help your body and mind to function at its best. So now I'll be doing my coconut cream sauce.
Okay.
You
great.
noticed I was chopping my garlic and
Yes.
onion earlier on.
Yes.
So now I'm just gonna move on to the stove. I'll be using this frying pan.
Here we go.
Cool. So I'm just gonna stand this side.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my frying pan on heat.
Okay. And then I see here we have olive oil that we're going to be using.
Yes,
So
olive
that's what
oil.
we're going to be
Olive
frying.
oil is very good for you. It's a natural oil, you know. But however, you can also use canola oil,
Yes.
which is also good for you. Yeah, but olive oil.
So plant-based oil is always a greater alternative than your animal fats, you know, like butter. Well, butter is a bit better than margarine because margarine solidifies.
greasy, but much better
Yes,
than that,
but much better.
So now,
Okay.
Tressilia, I'm just gonna ask you to pass me my spatula and spoon there. Thank you very much.
So these meals that we're preparing now, this is definitely something that you can make in advance, right? It's not something that you have to make now, eat now.
Yeah, true. Like your bulgur wheat and whatnot. You can use that. You can prepare it for lunch. You can save some, put it in the fridge. It actually has a longer shelf life, like compared to other stuff.
Okay.
So you can use that for lunch. You can have it for dinner later.
Okay.
Maybe just substituting your protein. You can
Yes.
maybe have it with grilled chicken, breast, or maybe a grilled steaks or something.
As a student, again, you know, you're busy all the time. You might not necessarily have the time, you know, you want to go back and work on assignments, or you're finishing school late, you might have sports, you know, that you have to do, or other commitments, or you just want to go out and be a student. But it's important as well to take this time, you know, if it's 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be, for you to meal prep. Because
Yeah,
meal
meal prep is
prepping,
very
you know,
important.
allows you to identify what am I going to be eating this week, how much am I going to be eating, and what the meal's preparation methods, you know.
So now I'm gonna add my curry tomato paste to my onions and garlic. Just need like 2 spoons of that. You can just put that on the side for me. I'm gonna mix.
So I'm just gonna ask, how did you prepare this? Because I know with curry paste,
Yeah.
like we mentioned earlier, some spices have extra salt added to
Yes.
them, which increases
Yes.
sodium, cholesterol, etc.
So with our curry tomato puree,
Yes.
you can just use whole tomatoes.
Okay.
You can just buy tomatoes from a
Yes.
retail store, or you can use canned tomatoes, whatever tomatoes that you find easily. And then what you do, you just add your curry spices to it. Try not to use those. I know that's what we used to, especially as students, especially
Yes.
as young individuals. You see, unemployed.
Yeah.
So we buy your Raja spices and
Yes.
whatnot, but try to use your natural spices like your cumin seeds,
Yes,
your fennel seeds, your coriander seeds. Just put all those into a pestle and mortar and crush them, or you can even crush them with your knife. Just crush them, and then add them with the tomatoes and just blend it together. Or you can even mix it through with a spoon.
Yes,
So now that's cooking. I'm gonna let it cook for another
But I
30
love that,
seconds or so.
you know, make things yourself. Because obviously you can find probably a curry tomato paste in the
Yeah,
shops.
yeah.
But again, as consumers, we don't necessarily read the labels, you
And
know.
sometimes
And
we're not being told what's really in there.
exactly. So
we put
label
added
literacy
preservatives.
isn't necessarily taught to us. You don't know, if you turn over the packet, what are trans fats
Yeah.
and the different scientific names for all these ingredients. So it's great that you can make it yourself. I think I was keeping track of time.
Yeah.
I think our fish might
Fish should
just
be okay.
ready.
Okay,
Here
cool.
we go.
Let me just take it out. I'm just gonna put my coconut cream in my paste.
So for this meal, obviously we use quite a bit of quantities. On average, obviously, I don't think this will be finished in one day. How
Of course
long do
not.
you think, on average, how many portions do you think we can get out of this meal?
I think out of this meal you can get 2 lunch portions, 2 dinner portions,
Okay.
depending on when you want to consume
Yeah.
it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of black pepper to our sauce,
Okay.
and I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Cool. So I'm gonna start dropping in.
Okay, so we're cooking them
My-
separately as well.
Yes, so what I'm gonna do now is, because I don't have 2 pots on the stove,
Yes.
I'm gonna start dropping in my cauliflower.
Okay.
And then after that's cooked for about 30 seconds to a minute, I'm gonna then drop in my broccoli.
Cauliflower also, you know, I think we've seen a lot now for people that are gluten intolerant. You see things like cauliflower, cauliflower base for pizza or cauliflower fried chicken. You know, they use sort of the same basting and sauces, but obviously it's a healthy alternative, gluten-free, vegan alternative that you can use.
Yes,
you know.
ma'am.
See, we can really see that you are a chef, you know, clean as you go. And I think that also helps encourage you to finish the cooking process, because I know as well when you are a student and you think about, oh, I have to cook and then I have to clean afterwards.
Yeah.
So no, don't think of clean afterwards, you
Yeah,
know,
clean as you
clean
go.
as you go. That's where as soon as
first
you're
important
done,
step
yes,
of cooking.
as soon
Clean
as
as
you're
you go.
done cooking, you sit down and you eat. You don't have to think, oh my gosh, I have a ton of dishes left after. Okay, so you added the broccoli afterwards, so then they have
Yes.
different cooking
They have
times.
different cooking times.
Okay.
They're not that much further apart from each other. It's like
Okay.
1.5 minutes between the two. So our fish is okay. It's ready for plating. Our sauce is okay, ready for plating. Our bulgur wheat and quinoa is also ready that side. So I'm just gonna ask you to pass me that bulgur wheat and quinoa.
Another thing, you know, a lot of these food items that we've used today, you know, quinoa, broccoli, we have garlic as well. They're known as, you know, superfoods.
Superfoods.
Yes, so your superfoods that are high in amino acids, high in nutritive value, high in fiber, gut health. Some studies show that they help with concentration, weight loss, whatever basically your ailment might be. These superfoods are really great that we have here today. I feel like I haven't cooked if there's no
There's no
garlic
garlic in
inside,
it,
you
yeah.
know, it's just like the base aromatics, but it's also healthy for you.
Gotta have garlic in
Yeah.
there. So now you'll notice I'm putting my quinoa and bulgur wheat in a frying pan. And then I'm just gonna add my sauce to it just to bind it together, just give it that savory taste.
Okay.
So I think I have enough bulgur wheat in there. I'm just gonna add now my sauce.
So you do this off the heat so that it
Yeah,
doesn't
because
carry
now
on cooking.
this,
don't
if you
want to
notice,
carry on
just
cooking.
touch the bottom of this saucepan. There's still some heat in
Okay,
there. So
okay.
it's got like a warm type of feel to it. And then our sauce, because we just took it off heat, is still very hot.
Okay,
So we're just gonna add our sauce in there.
lovely.
Okay. And then we're just gonna give it a nice mix. See, now it's not as dry. Now it's getting that silky, creamy texture to it.
And like you said before, you could get the same thing if you don't have the coconut cream. You can make a roux with flour.
Make a roux, or you can just use like cornstarch. You can mix cornstarch with a little bit of cold water, get your vegetable stock in a pot to boil, and add that in there.
Yes.
So we call it a thickening agent.
Yes.
So it can basically thicken anything that's a liquid. So we're just gonna take out our broccoli and cauliflower.
Okay.
If you would just look at the broccoli, it's still
Yes.
nice and green. So it's a little bit crunchy, so it's pre-cooked. So you're gonna pop it in there
Okay.
in a dry pan. So why am I doing that? Because it's coming out straight out of water,
Okay.
stock water.
You want the
so I want
excess
that
water
excess
to
water to
evaporate.
evaporate, yeah, sort of dry out before I can add in my olive oil.
Okay. I think also something like this, you know, obviously we're here, we're using it fresh. But frozen vegetables are also a great alternative to have, because I know, if you're making something like this and you don't have access to broccoli or to cauliflower, frozen mixed vegetables are there all year round.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse to be like,
And
oh, I
also
can't eat vegetables.
They're just quick.
Exactly.
They just come pre-cooked.
Exactly. So they've done the blanching for us.
For you.
So you just
so
add.
you just pop it in a pan, or if you want to roast it, pop it in a pan, put it in the oven.
Yes.
So it's really up to you how you would want to use it. So we have our corn here, which is now off the cob. So we're just gonna wait for that excess water to sort of evaporate, yeah. And then I think we're good to go. I'm just gonna take my olive oil and I'm gonna give it a slight drizzle in the pan. You will have the slight sizzle. Then you know we're cooking. And then I'm just, thank you. I'm just gonna drop this in there as well. And then while that's busy frying, just gonna add a little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper as well. You'll notice we've been using salt, black pepper, salt and black pepper, nothing else.
Yeah, because I know you blanched obviously our vegetables in chicken stock, but obviously you can just blanch them in water.
In water, yes. Because the vegetable stock rather, it's just for flavor.
Yes.
And it's also made from like fresh veggies. So how you would make your own vegetable stock is, you notice we have vegetable peels in there and like stuff that we are going to throw out. You can just take that, put it in the same pan like this, just add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of tomato paste, and then add normal water, and then just boil that for about an hour or so. And if this is not cooked, I'm blaming it on you, eh? You told me you were timing it.
Your cooking preparation instructions.
True. Blame it on me. Let's blame the chef.
I think so. It's very professional. Yeah.
Okay, our fish is actually cooked.
But obviously this is for us. This is for, but as a student, you're not going to have to do all of these theatrics, This is from a professional chef.
Yes.
But at home, of course, you can deconstruct it, because it will be reconstructed once you eat it. You're going to end up consuming it in any case.
Yeah, so now we're just going to plate, just for presentation.
Okay.
We'll have one bulgur wheat there.
Okay.
If you like, you can just scoop it all out onto your plate. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but now, for presentation's sake, we'll have another bulgur wheat there.
Okay.
And maybe just one more scoop of bulgur wheat. Remember, even if it's a healthy meal, does not mean you should have too much of it. So you should just have the right amount of it.
Generally, everything in moderation.
In moderation. This is just for presentation.
Okay, great.
And then here, I'll just chop a nice slice.
But presentation also sometimes matters, like when it comes to physical health, some people say when they dress nicely, then they feel more motivated to go to the gym and to exercise. We eat with our eyes. So again, the same way when you go to a restaurant, you can also have that same standards for yourself of, okay, let me plate up nicely, enjoy my meal nicely, and repeat the process over and over and over again. I think that will allow you to also get more comfortable with cooking.
So, I hope I get those lines. Okay, it's almost there.
Okay.
I think I'm winning. So there you have it, guys. Our meal of the day, lunch meal, dinner meal. It's totally up to you what you want to use it for. Here's a fork.
Okay,
so it's our savory bulgur wheat with red quinoa, pan grilled vegetables, just some limes, lemon, and cocktail tomatoes to garnish, and steamed fish.
So this is a lovely, fully balanced meal. We have our grains, we have our vegetables, we have our protein, we have our fats, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, everything that we need, in this one meal. And obviously we were talking during it, but it took a relatively short period of time. You can make all these things at the same time.
Yeah, like 15, 20 minutes, maximum 30 minutes. You can easily use this.
Okay. from the Food Evolution Research Lab, we have this app that we use whereby it helps you to prepare your meals. It gives you guidance on how to prepare your meals, healthy methods of preparation. Now we learn steaming and blanching and all these different terminologies. You can pick all of that up, and exercise as well, healthy exercise tips here and there, all of this so you can maintain a healthy lifestyle. And it's a very easily accessible app, and it has, simple ingredients like this: fish, some grains, some vegetables, and you're done, and you have a complete meal. I think you should try it first,
Of course. I'm just gonna dig in. I'll have the red quinoa. It's very nice.
Okay.
It is very nice.
I'll believe you.
Yeah,
I watched you prepare it.
Yeah, just say some. And then obviously our veggies.
This is delicious.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.